My manager stood on stage accepting a crystal trophy and a promotion to vice president for a system he couldn't even log into without my help. The CEO called it the most innovative contribution in company history. I built every single line of code. I designed every workflow. I worked 18-hour days for 9 months. And I was sitting in the audience, watching him take credit for my life's work, with the recording device in my pocket. I'd been at Meridian Financial Solutions for 6 years when this nightmare began. Started as a junior systems analyst, worked my way up to senior technical architect. I wasn't flashy. I didn't play golf with executives or laugh too hard at their jokes. I just solved problems that nobody else could solve. My direct supervisor was a man named Gregory Palmer. Greg, as he insisted everyone call him, was the director of operations technology. He'd been with the company for 12 years, and in that time, he developed one very specific skill, taking credit for other people's work. I'd seen him do it before, small things mostly. Someone would suggest a process improvement in a meeting, and 2 weeks later, Greg would present it to leadership as his own initiative. But what he did to me was different. What he did to me was calculated, deliberate, and worth millions of dollars. It started in February when our CFO announced that Meridian was hemorrhaging money due to inefficiencies in our claims processing system. We were a mid-sized insurance company, and our legacy systems were ancient. Claims that should take 3 days were taking 3 weeks. We were losing clients, we were losing money, and we were 6 months away from serious trouble. The CFO put out a company-wide call for solutions. Anyone with ideas was encouraged to submit proposals. I saw my opportunity. For the next 3 weeks, I barely slept. I designed a complete automation framework from scratch. I called it the Integrated Claims Automation System, or ICAS. It would use machine learning to pre-screen claims, automatically route them to the appropriate adjusters, flag potential fraud, and reduce processing time by an estimated 80%. I documented everything meticulously: flowcharts, technical specifications, projected cost savings, implementation timelines. The proposal was 47 pages. It was the best work I'd ever done. And here's where I made my fatal mistake. I trusted Greg. I brought the proposal to him first as my direct supervisor. Company protocol required all submissions to go through department heads. I sat in his office, walked him through every detail, and watched his eyes grow wider with each page. "Marcus," he said, leaning back in his chair, "this is extraordinary work, truly exceptional." I felt proud, validated. He continued, "I'll make sure this gets to the executive team immediately. But let me review it over the weekend, make some notes, polish it up a bit before we present it together." Together. He said together. I heard that word. I handed over my flash drive with all my files. I gave him access to my design documents. I walked out of his office feeling like my career was finally about to take off. I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. Every time I asked Greg about it, he said the executives were still reviewing. Then, on a random Tuesday morning, I got an email inviting the entire company to an all-hands meeting. I walked into the auditorium and found a seat near the back. The CEO, Richard Thornton, took the stage with barely contained excitement. "I want to share some incredible news. As many of you know, we've been facing significant challenges with our claims processing infrastructure. Well, I'm thrilled to announce that one of our own has developed a revolutionary solution." My heart started racing. This was it. Greg Palmer, our Director of Operations Technology, has designed a groundbreaking automation framework called the Integrated Claims Automation System. The room erupted in applause. I couldn't breathe. Greg walked onto the stage, shaking the CEO's hand, waving to the crowd. They put up slides, my flowcharts, my technical specifications, the words I'd written at 3 in the morning while my wife slept alone. "This system will transform our company," the CEO continued, "and we're so confident in Greg's vision that we're greenlighting immediate development. Greg, you'll have whatever resources you need." I sat frozen in my seat as the world collapsed around me. My coworker, Jenny, sitting next to me, whispered, "Isn't this what you were working on?" I couldn't answer. I couldn't form words. After the meeting, I went straight to Greg's office. My hands were shaking. I closed the door behind me. "What was that hell?" I demanded. Greg didn't even flinch. He looked at me with this calm, almost pitying expression. Marcus, I understand you're upset, but let's be realistic here. You're a technical guy. You don't understand how to present to executives. I took your rough ideas and shaped them into something leadership could actually understand and approve. Rough ideas? I was practically shouting. I gave you a complete technical specification. That was my system. Lower your voice, he said coldly. The system is approved. Development is starting. Do you want to be part of the team that builds it, or do you want to throw a tantrum and get left behind? He let that sink in. Because here's the reality, Marcus. If you go to HR right now, what do you have? A flash drive you handed me voluntarily? No paper trail showing you submitted anything independently. Meanwhile, I've been sending the executive team updates on my project for 2 weeks. Emails, memos, all documented. My stomach dropped. He was right. I had nothing. I'd handed him everything and kept nothing for myself. Work on the implementation team, he continued, straightening his tie, and I'll make sure you get a nice bonus when it launches. Fight me on this, and you'll be building spreadsheets in the basement until you quit. I walked out of his office in a daze. I drove home without remembering the route. I sat in my driveway for an hour, just staring at the steering wheel. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight fair. I was going to document everything. I was going to wait, and I was going to destroy him. I joined the ICAS implementation team as the lead technical architect, which in practice meant I was doing all the actual development while Greg attended meetings and took notes to present to executives. For 9 months, I wrote code, solved problems, fixed bugs, and trained a team of developers, all while Greg sent weekly update emails to the C-suite with phrases like, "I've optimized the algorithm," and "My team and I have overcome significant technical challenges." His team, my code. But I was building my case. I started documenting everything with timestamps. I recorded every meeting where Greg couldn't answer basic technical questions. I saved every email where he asked me to explain that in simple terms so he could present it to leadership. I created a paper trail thick enough to stop a bullet. And then, 3 weeks before the system launch, they announced the company awards ceremony, the big one, the annual gala where leadership recognized exceptional contributions. Okay, I need to stop here for a second because this is the part where everything changes. 9 months of watching him parade around as a visionary while I did the actual work. 9 months of biting my tongue until it bled. And now they're about to give him an award and a promotion to vice president for my system. So tell me, what would you have done? Subscribe if you think he deserved everything that was coming to him. Drop a comment if you've ever had someone steal your work like this. Because what I did at that awards ceremony, I promise you, you're not going to see it coming. The awards gala was held at the Riverside Grand Hotel, the same venue where the company held its holiday parties. Crystal chandeliers, waiters with champagne, executives in tuxedos. I wore my nicest suit. My wife thought we were there to celebrate. In a way, we were. I'd spent the previous week preparing. I had a presentation loaded on a flash drive, the real story of ICAS, complete with original timestamps, email records, and recorded audio from our team meetings. I'd also hired an employment attorney who specialized in intellectual property cases. He was on standby. The ceremony started with the usual pleasantries, sales awards, customer service recognition, retirement acknowledgements. Then CEO Thornton took the stage with the final award, the Chairman's Medal for Innovation. This year's recipient, he announced, has single-handedly revolutionized our claims processing infrastructure. The ICAS system is projected to save this company $40 million over the next 5 years, and it's my privilege to announce that effective immediately, he is being promoted to Vice President of Technology Innovation. The spotlight swung to Greg's table. He stood up, buttoning his jacket, accepting handshakes and applause as he walked to the stage. I watched him take the crystal trophy, hold it up to the light, and smile for the photographer. "Thank you," Greg said into the microphone. "This system represents everything I believe about innovation and leadership." He went on for 3 more minutes about his vision and his dedication. When he finished, the room gave him a standing ovation. I stood up too, but I didn't clap. I walked toward the stage. My wife grabbed my arm, confused, but I gently pulled away. A few people noticed. The applause started to die down. I climbed the stairs to the stage. Greg's face faltered. The CEO looked confused. "Excuse me," I said, taking the microphone from the stand. "I have something to add." Security started moving toward me, but Thornton held up his hand. He was curious. That curiosity would cost him a fortune and embarrassment. "My name is Marcus Webb. I've been with this company for 6 years, and the system you just celebrated, I designed every line of it." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Greg's face went pale. "I have original documentation timestamped 9 months before Greg Palmer ever saw this project. I have 47 pages of technical specifications with my metadata on every file. I have recorded audio of Greg asking me to explain my own code to him so he could present it to executives." I pulled out my phone and played one of the recordings. Greg's voice filled the ballroom. "Marcus, I need you to explain the machine learning component like I'm 5 years old. The CFO keeps asking questions and I have no idea what to tell him." The room went silent. "I also have emails," I continued, "where Greg admitted he shaped my rough ideas, his words, into something presentable. What he actually did was remove my name from everything and add his own." I looked directly at Greg. He was clutching his trophy like a life preserver. "That's slander," he managed. "This is lies. I have everything backed up with my attorney, a specialist in intellectual property theft. He's reviewed the documentation. He's ready to proceed." CEO Thornton finally stepped forward, his face a mask of controlled fury, though I couldn't tell if it was directed at me or Greg. "Marcus," he said carefully, "these are serious accusations." "Yes, sir, they are, and I can prove every single one of them. Right now, tonight, I have a presentation ready." The next 2 hours were chaos. Thornton called an emergency meeting in a conference room off the ballroom. Legal was brought in. HR was brought in. My attorney participated via video call. I showed them everything. The original files with timestamps from February, the design documents with my user credentials embedded in the metadata, the progression of emails where Greg slowly erased my involvement, the recordings where he couldn't answer basic questions about the system he supposedly designed. By midnight, Greg Palmer had been escorted from the building by security. His trophy sat abandoned on the conference room table. His promotion was rescinded. By the end of the following week, I was sitting in Richard Thornton's office receiving a formal apology and a job offer. Not Greg's old position, something better. They created a new role, Chief Technical Architect, reporting directly to the CTO, a 30% raise, full credit on all ICAS documentation going forward, and a bonus equivalent to what Greg had received for his work. But here's what really mattered to me. Thornton published a company-wide retraction, an email sent to every employee explaining that ICAS was designed and developed by Marcus Webb and that Greg Palmer had misrepresented his involvement. My name was added to the official project documentation. The case study that went into our marketing materials, the one that brought in 3 new enterprise clients, had my name on it. Greg tried to sue for wrongful termination. His case was dismissed when my attorney countersued for intellectual property theft and tortious interference. He settled out of court for an undisclosed amount. Last I heard, he was working at a regional insurance broker 3 states away with no direct reports. I still have that recording of him asking me to explain my code like he's 5 years old. Sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I play it just to remind myself that justice does happen. My wife asked me once if I regretted going up on that stage, if I worried it was too dramatic, too risky. I told her the truth. I spent 9 months watching someone parade around in stolen glory while I did the real work in the shadows. I had one chance to take it all back in front of everyone who mattered, and I wasn't going to waste it on a polite email to HR. Some people steal your work because they think you're too afraid to fight back. The best revenge is proving them wrong in front of everyone they were trying to impress. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this one. If Greg's audacity made your blood pressure spike, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss stories like this, and leave a like if you think he got exactly what he deserved. If you've ever had someone steal your work, your ideas, or your credit, I want to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments or send it to us directly. Your story might be featured in an upcoming video. Until next time, protect your receipts and document everything.